Michael Hill Jeweller. It's a name we've all grown up with and a story that's become legendary. The man who started from humble beginnings and became the king of discount jewellery. At 70, you'd think he'd be resting on his laurels, but far from it. Michael Hill is about to create a global network of shops at a time when the world is in its worst recession for decades. So has he finally lost the plot? Rod Vaughan went to find out.
And you say tough times are bad times, tough times are great times. I don't want to read the newspaper anymore because every time I pick it up it's just full of doom or deaths or God knows what, but there's nothing positive. I think this is the most exciting times in my life.
The experts would have us believe these are dark days. Around the world, businesses are going belly up, jobs are being axed, and house prices going into free fall. A time to hunker down and take no risks, you'd think.
It's my philosophy in business is to surge ahead when others stop. Hello, Michael Hill Jeweller.
He seems to have been around forever. Who can forget those television commercials? His name became a brand bigger than the person. Michael Hill Jeweller refuses to let the current doom and gloom spook him.
It's in.
Quite the opposite, in fact. At a time when others are battening down, he's attempting to turn Michael Hill into a global brand, along with Gucci, Versace or Prada, by snapping up shops at knockdown prices in new international markets.
It's the most exciting thing for me, these recessionary times, because it gives us the opportunity to be able to go where we would normally not be allowed to go in prime sites, in centres in the States and Canada.
Of course, it's easier to take a huge gamble like this if you live in the lap of luxury, on a magnificent country estate complete with its own international golf course. Especially when you're sitting on a private fortune estimated at $235 million. But he says this is no flight of fancy. And what's more, he believes if more New Zealanders were equally adventurous, it would get the country out of the economic doldrums.
Every time there's been a war, everybody gets stuck in. Times are tough, so why don't we all get stuck in?
But how do you convince someone who's lost their job, got a mortgage to pay, and a family to feed, that there is a silver lining to this very dark cloud?
It's no good saying we're in a hopeless position, we can't do anything. We can always do something. There's always some glimmer of light. And if you're determined, anyone's really, really, really determined, they can get another position and do anything they really want.
Hill's recipe for economic salvation in times like this is contained in his soon-to-be-released book, Toughen Up. In it, he explains that he speaks from his own experience.
If I could do it, anyone can do it, can achieve miracles. They really can.
It was in Whangarei at a time of personal doom and gloom that Michael Hill took his first entrepreneurial gamble. He'd been working in his uncle's jewellery shop for no less than 23 years, going nowhere fast. But then came a personal crisis. His dream home that he largely built himself burnt to the ground. From the ashes arose a new Michael Hill, a man with a mission.
We went to that fire and watched it burn. There was nothing we could do. And I took out a visiting card out of my pocket. I just wrote on it, I'm going to own my uncle's business.
So this fire, this house fire, was a defining moment in your life.
It was a monumental, and it would be interesting to see if we didn't have the house fire, whether I'd still be working for my uncle.
So at the age of 43, Hill borrowed some money and opened his first jewellery shop, not far from his uncle's business. Needless to say, Uncle Arthur was not pleased with the competition.
No, he definitely was not. That's right. I have never lost a night's sleep since having left my uncle's jewellery business all those years ago.
One of the first people he hired was Mike Parcell, a young watchmaker from Kawakawa. Today, he's the company's chief executive.
Well, look, I think he was definitely a driven person who had goals, and if there's anything that all of us can say about Michael, even then, and it's true today, he was very clear about the goals that he had, and the goal that we were working for back in those days was to have 7 stores in 7 years, and we all understood that.
It was a goal that proved surprisingly easy. So a new one was set. 70 shops in 7 years. To do this, Hill needed to expand into Australia, to move his Whangarei manufacturing plant and head office to Brisbane.
Hello, Michael Hill, jeweller.
And those television commercials went with him.
We were straight into wacky, and of course, Australians, they love having a piece of New Zealanders, and they sort of, they said, hello, and virtually some of them said, hello, Michael Hill wanker. I mean, it got completely out of control, really, and they really classed me like a used car salesman a bit, really.
Hello, Michael Hill, jeweller. So I'm turning prices upside down.
We used to often write those ads 10 minutes before we were due to shoot them, and they'd always be a hell of a laugh writing those ads. We had a lot of fun, I think, is another thing in the business. We never took ourselves too seriously, and that's true today as well.
The 70 shops were not long in coming, along with the new head office and manufacturing plant in Brisbane. Michael Hill Jeweller was on the road to fame and fortune. Hill's success has been due to many factors, not the least being the design of his shops and the service that was offered. He created shops with a much more inviting interior, stuck to selling discount jewellery and little else, and gave his staff a thorough grounding in the art of salesmanship, a skill that he'd learnt from his father.
The secret of being a good salesman is make sure that you do the basics, and the basics are a series of key steps which remain hidden to this day. And I know you're going to try and worm them out of me. You haven't got a damn show.
You're not going to share them with us.
But basically, well, if you join, and I think you should join. I think you'd make a good apprentice. I think we could make something of you, Rod. I really do. Having a balance in life is crucial.
Today, Michael Hill is very much Lord of the Rings. He employs 1,600 staff in 250 stores in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and America. It's been a hard slog getting to where he is today, but it's paid off handsomely. He has his own private kingdom known as the Hills, 165 hectares of prime real estate in Arrowtown. Here he can indulge his passion for fishing.
We're talking quite big rainbow, yes.
Or golf on his very own world-class course. It took 6 years and a small fortune to build.
I got the digger in.
$18 million for a golf course. That's a pretty big call, isn't it? When here we are in recessionary times, to spend that sort of money.
I didn't even tell you 18 million. You pulled that figure out of the hat anyhow. Where did you make that one up from?
It's in your book. It's in your book.
No, it's not in the book. I never mentioned such figures.
Well, you're not disputing it anyway. And then there's the 33-metre luxury super yacht for swanning around the Pacific. Not bad for someone who was bullied at school and written off by a teacher who told his parents,
"Don't push Michael, he's not going to amount to anything." And my parents were in tears, and of course I thought this seemed to be unbelievable, but it just about came to pass, really, because I left school to become a concert violinist, which was a crazy thing in a farming community, and but I stuck it for a year, and it didn't really work.
His love for the violin has never deserted him. And now, of course, he can afford to sponsor his own international violin competition, as well as collect extremely rare violins, including a priceless Stradivarius.
These Italian instruments are quite desirable and are quite sought after. They're actually quite a good investment, so I'm quite happy to have it.
How much is that one worth?
I'm not telling you.
A week ago, Michael Hill was a finalist at the World Entrepreneur of the Year Awards in Monte Carlo. At a time when most of us would be laying back, slowing down and enjoying the fruits of success, he's scaling new heights. Resting on his laurels is not an option.
Achieving things is far more important than actually than arriving. The climbing to the destination is always much more fun than arriving at the top of the mountain. The momentary pleasure at arriving at the top of the mountain and thinking, I'm here, I've arrived, is a shallow one, because you need another mountain to climb.
And that mountain is the world. Hill is now positioning himself to become a global brand. despite one of the worst recessions the world has seen. To go global, Hill needs more shops, lots of them.
Well, the service in there was verging on crap, actually.
And he set himself yet another goal. He's aiming to have 1,000 shops by 2022, most of them in America.
If we're ever going to become a real player in the jewellery business, we have to crack the States. And that, to me, is the most exciting thing in these times. We've positioned ourselves perfectly to take this opportunity when everybody else is going to sleep. Everybody's battening down the hatches. Everyone's scared stiff. They don't know what to do. And we're going to sneak in under the radar, get these prime locations, and we're ready for it.
These are bold words. But is there a sense of bravado behind this?
Did you ever see a general that won a battle by being a wimp?
The battle plan is being put together at Hill's head office and manufacturing plant in Brisbane. In a major rebranding exercise, the old-style glitzy shops are going to be slowly phased out. In their place, much more sumptuous stores with a touch of class. Discount jewellery will still be for sale, but it will be joined by designer watches and a completely new product that until now has been kept very much under wraps.
So that's a bit of a secret, really, but we are designing our own perfume with our own fragrance, and it's a pretty special thing. But all leading brands have their own perfumes. There's Prada perfumes, there's Versace perfumes, there's Gucci perfumes, and they all sell their other products, and it's just a natural thing that one would have that. It's not that it's foreign to what we're doing.
What will you call the perfume?
We'll have to call it Michael Hill, I guess. It's a pretty logical, I suppose.
Do you fancy yourself as another Versace? Can you see yourself as another Versace?
No. Well, we never will be at Versace. We never don't want to even be at Versace, but we want to be a respected brand. We want to be. No, Versace would never be a Versace. That would be crazy. But yes, a reputable brand, someone would admire and somebody would want to purchase there, and then find, my goodness me, what a wonderful looking store. Wow, look at those value, amazing value. That's the key to it.
So Michael Hill jeweller, watchmaker and now parfumier is poised to make his biggest move yet. It's a gamble that potentially could be his undoing. A disastrous foray into shoes a few years back almost ripped the company apart.
And that was a good thing for us. That was one of the great lessons we learned. It really did toughen us up, because when we went into shoes, we made some hideous mistakes. The best decision is when you make a bad decision, act on it, and we cut it. So it just said, this is finishing, bang. So we decided to quit the lot.
But if you got it wrong with shoes, what makes you think you're going to get it right with watches and with perfume? It's a huge gamble.
It's not a gamble. It's been well calculated. It can't be done overnight. It's got to be gradually done. And to do that, we're on our way. There's several things. I mean, if you take any, it's not rocket scientists. Once again, most things have been done before in the past at some stage. So we only have to look back. As Churchill says, the further I look back, the further I can see ahead.
So Michael Hill International.
So it's with confidence Michael Hill looks at these times of recession. Times he sees as times of opportunity. And he says we can all do it. Seize the moment.
It's no good just getting up in the morning, going to work, and say, well, this is just my job. My real life is when I get home at night, or whatever it is. But the silly part about it, we spend more time at work. So that work must be fun. And it's got to be fun. You've got to enjoy it. Got to be the most exciting thing you ever do. And if it isn't, for God's sake, don't do it. Change. Do something that really you love.